So once again, Kyle Larson has found a way to win in the NASCAR Cup Series. After last year, I'm sure everybody has Kyle Larson as easily the favorite to repeat as champion. And I'm I'm frankly not quite sure anybody had Kyle Larson winning just quite this early. Although it is a track he's typically strong in the past. Even today, he wasn't necessarily the strongest looking car out there. That was Tyler Reddick before his tire ultimately blew up and then he got, I think, hit by William Byron. Those two seem to have had a few run-ins over the past maybe half a year or so, which is a little interesting. Maybe that could turn into something. But back to the main point, the Fontana race. That was interesting to see Fontana actually be a race where there was a lot of action going on. Once you don't have cars that are horribly neutered to the fact that you only have to press the throttle down and occasionally turn left, and that's all you're really doing for the majority of 200 laps. When you have a package that requires you to actually lift off of the throttle and use the brake and actually use talent and skill to carry yourself through the corner and set yourself up in the outside lane to get a big run or maybe go down into the inside for a slide job, that is what makes NASCAR great. And I really hate to beat the dead horse that is bashing the 550 horsepower package, but I think the race on Sunday showed why the 550 package was just everything wrong to begin with. Like, it probably should have never even been considered. Well, maybe, but after 2019, I think it should have just been entirely been scrapped, because what we saw yesterday was absolutely beautiful. Or not yesterday at this point, on Sunday. The racing was good, very good. You didn't see guys getting stuck in dirty air, unlike with the 550 horsepower package. They could get runs, they could run in multiple grooves, albeit this is with a very aged track in Fontana. But normally, you wouldn't expect Fontana to even be that good. Like, even before with a high horsepower package, the cars just weren't really that fun at Fontana, It would just kind of be like a follow the leader procession almost. But now, with a car that has a lot less downforce in general, you saw, like 10 cautions just from dudes spinning themselves out just because nobody has a handle on the car yet. Maybe it'll be a return to like the Gen 4 where they actually have to wield damn things, which I'm sure all of NASCAR likes a lot to see that. So, yeah, seeing Kyle Larson steal this race, or what it seemed like he did, once again, man, I have to respect the talents of Kyle Larson, but man, is it getting really annoying to just see him constantly win. It's like Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Johnson back in his prime, like the mid to late 2000s. He had those races where he was dominant, right? And then in the races where he didn't have the dominant car or whatever, he'd still be hanging around in the top 10, maybe the top 5. But once other people started falling out due to attrition or just due to their own mistakes, Johnson would always find a way to come up and steal the win in just such clutch ways. This is something that Kyle Larson is looking to be perfecting, It makes you wonder about what he could have been doing if he started his career at Hendrick. Like, how Kevin Harvick for, 14 years, he was toiling away at RCR, not having his full talents be on display, and only in 2014 did he join Stewart House Racing, and he ended up lighting the world on fire, leading over 2,000 laps in both his first 2 years, which is just insane. Kyle Larson is like a smaller case of that, because granted, he had a much shorter waiting time before he got to get into some elite equipment. And you could argue that if Kyle Larson joined straight away in like 2014 or so, he still would have had like a bit of a slump the past few years, besides 2021, just because of the Hendrick and Chevrolet downfall in general. It still makes you wonder, what could have Kyle Larson been doing if he had been given this amazing equipment beforehand? I was not necessarily the biggest fan of Kyle Larson. I never really thought that the hype he had for being an insanely talented racer, I never really considered that. I always thought maybe he was like a little bit overrated compared to guys like Chase Elliott. But after seeing what they could do in equal equipment, I'm not so sure that Chase Elliott is he's gonna have the upper hand at Hendrick for much longer. I'm Kyle Larson probably proved himself to be the best driver in the Cup Series last year. At least I think so. As much as I hate saying that since I'm a Kyle Busch fan, but I mean, you saw what he did last year, and you'd have good reason to believe that he's going to be continuing it this year, unless Kyle Busch has a great resurgence, maybe Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin. But Kyle Larson looks like he's going to be entering the prime of his career. Meanwhile, all of those guys, they seem to be going into the twilight of their career. So I would not be surprised if Kyle Larson cemented himself as the best driver in the sport right now. And now I want to talk about that incident between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. I think that was just a racing incident. I think that was just, I believe that was Kyle Larson's spotter not like correctly telling him where Chase was, and that's what ended up leading to that. And it sucked to see Chase go from spinning out in the lead, which is just another pretty cool element of the next gen car. That car is just, actually you have to wheel it around the track. Can't just flat foot it everywhere. Seeing him spin out from the lead, go a few laps down, and then he's back in the mix for the lead, and then he gets his day ended because of his teammate throwing a rather inconvenient and egregious block. I would be very mad if I was Chase, but I think that wasn't intentional. I think that was just purely a accidental thing. Now, I've heard some people thinking that Chase Elliott is going to want to get payback. No, that's idiotic. I don't think Chase would do that, especially to a teammate. He might give it to other guys, but I do not expect Chase Elliott to be out for Kyle Larson anytime soon, since they're teammates, and Chase Elliott probably knows that after last year he might be the second guy at Hendrick now. Actually, he probably knows he is the second guy at Hendrick right now, based off of the year that Kyle Larson had last year. So, yeah. I don't think that Fontana incident between Chase and Kyle is really anything to be worried about if you're a Hendrick fan or a fan of either of those drivers. I think it was just a racing incident. Now, thinking about Kyle Larson's championship last year, thinking about the way he dominated last year's Cup Series, how he broke the single season record for most laps led in a 36 race season. That's just insane. Also, the first driver to get double-digit wins in a single season since Jimmy Johnson in 2007. 2 different times in the year, he won 3 races in a row. And you have to think about the fact that he could have probably won at least 5 more races if he was even just a little bit luckier. I believe probably could have won at least 2 to 3 more races. That's just how good Kyle Larson was last year. And it was pretty cool to see such a deserving champion at least get his championship appearance. Because if Martin Truex Jr. was a guy who held out over Denny Hamlin last year, I think a lot of people would have been very mad to see the Hendrick boys come up short. And especially Kyle Larson, just because he absolutely deserved it last year. And, you know, I've been processing it over the off season. I haven't really been, I've been trying to distance myself away from it just because it's tired of seeing dominance, you know. But I will say that Kyle Larson, I think he's primed for another great year in 2022. And would I expect the dominance of 2021? I'm not sure, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls off something like that. Because with Kyle Larson, the sky honestly might be the limit. He's already at 17 career Cup wins, 10 in just the past year alone, 1 already this year, and it's race 2 of 36. You'd have to think that he's going to at least get to 5 this year, minimum. And you think that he's going to be another championship for a contender and possibly the favorite to win it all. So, yeah, that's about all my thoughts for the Fontana race. So, bye.